We're incredibly grateful for your support. Before we begin today's tale, tell us, which city or country are you joining us from? We love connecting with our global audience. Now let's dive into today's story. Chapter 1. Perfect Illusions. The metallic clang of tools against concrete echoed through Walker's auto service as Jason slid out from under a restored '67 Mustang. Grease stained his calloused hands, hands that had built his father's legacy into something greater. At 32, his reputation preceded him among Denver's automotive enthusiasts. "Mr. Chin's going to love this," he muttered, running his fingers along the pristine undercarriage. The classic car collector had trusted him with his prized possession, just like countless others who'd learned that Jason Walker's word was his bond. The phone buzzed in his pocket. Rebecca's message read, "Working late again. Don't wait up." Third time this week. He pushed down the nagging thought and focused on the task at hand. The garage needed him, and he'd never let his father's memory down. His mind drifted to their college days, when he'd first spotted Rebecca at Denver State's campus diner. She'd worn a cheap polyester uniform and carried dreams bigger than her tip jar. He remembered how she'd drawn detailed designs on napkins between serving customers, sharing her visions of transforming spaces with anyone who'd listen. "You're different," she told him on their first date, tracing patterns on his palm. "Most guys just see the waitress. You see me." He'd worked 2 jobs back then, campus security by night, mechanics assistant by day. Engineering classes filled the gaps between shifts. Rebecca had seemed impressed by his drive, or at least he'd thought so. "Jason," Sandra Cooper's voice pulled him from the memory. His wife's former roommate stood in the garage doorway, fidgeting with her purse strap. "Got a minute?" He wiped his hands on a shop rag. "Sure, Sandra. Everything okay with the Civic?" "It's not about the car." She glanced around the empty garage. "There's something you should know about Rebecca. About who she was in college." Jason's jaw tightened. "Ancient history isn't my concern." "It should be." Sandra stepped closer, lowering her voice. "She was seeing someone else when you started dating. Thomas Richardson, the grad student. She only chose you after he moved to London." The wrench in Jason's hand creaked under his grip. "Why tell me this now?" "Because I've seen that look before, the one she had when she was playing both sides." Sandra touched his arm. "She's my friend, Jason, but what she did wasn't right. And I'm afraid she's doing it again." He shrugged off her touch. "Thanks for the warning, Sandra. But I trust my wife." Sandra's expression softened with pity. "That's exactly what makes you vulnerable." After she left, Jason buried himself in work, the rhythmic sound of metal on metal drowning out unwanted thoughts. He'd built this life on trust and loyalty. Rebecca had stood by him through his mother's cancer, through the brutal hours of running the garage. She wouldn't throw that away, would she? The sun had set when he finally locked up. Their modest 2-story house was dark except for the kitchen light. Rebecca's designer handbag sat on the counter, next to a half-empty wine glass. The receipt tucked in the side pocket caught his eye. Dinner for 2 at Mateo's, charged to their joint account. Networking dinner, Rebecca called from behind him. She wore a black dress he didn't recognize, her makeup still perfect despite the late hour. "Dominic's introducing me to potential clients." "Dominic Pierce?" Jason watched her reaction carefully. "Your boss? He sees potential in me?" She brushed past him, the scent of unfamiliar cologne lingering. "Not everyone thinks I should settle for designing oil-stained garages." The jab stung, but Jason's voice remained steady. "This garage put you through design school, and I'm grateful." Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "But I need to grow, Jason. You understand that, right?" He understood more than she realized. Sandra's warning echoed in his mind as Rebecca disappeared upstairs. The Thomas Richardson situation hadn't been ancient history. It had been a preview. Later that night, he lay awake, listening to Rebecca's measured breathing beside him. The bedroom they'd painted together felt different now, tainted by unspoken suspicions. His father had taught him that a man's character showed in how he handled betrayal. Jason's fingers curled into fists beneath the sheets. If Rebecca was repeating history, she'd learned that her husband wasn't the same trusting college boy she'd fooled before. Chapter 2. Cracks in the Foundation. The call came on a Tuesday morning. Jason was elbow-deep in a transmission repair when his phone vibrated. The hospital's number flashed on the screen, and his world shifted in the time it took to answer. Mr. Walker? I'm sorry. Your father's heart. We did everything we could. The next hours passed in a blur of fluorescent lights and paperwork. His mother Ellen's quiet sobs echoed through sterile corridors as they collected his father's belongings. A gold watch, a worn wallet, a garage key that had opened the same door for 30 years. Rebecca arrived in a designer suit, straight from a client meeting. I can handle the funeral arrangements, she offered, already typing on her phone. There's a lovely facility in Cherry Creek. No. Jason's voice was granite. Dad gets buried from O'Malley's funeral home, where his father was buried. Ellen squeezed his hand. Your father would want that. Rebecca's lips thinned. That's in the old neighborhood. Your clients from Cherry Hills won't. They're not clients today. Jason cut her off. They're family friends coming to mourn my father. The funeral drew hundreds. Mechanics, customers, car club members, all sharing stories of James Walker's integrity and skill. Jason stood stoic beside his mother, accepting condolences while Rebecca networked in the background, slipping business cards into sympathetic hands. She's working the room like it's a cocktail party, Maria Thompson muttered, watching from beside the coffee urn. The elementary school teacher had lived next door to Jason and Rebecca for 5 years. Your father deserved better. A week later, Jason sat in his father's office, staring at the engineering degree hanging on the wall. His own identical degree lay packed away somewhere, a road not taken. You can't seriously be considering this. Rebecca paced the small space. You have a degree. Opportunities. The garage can be sold. It's not for sale. Jason traced his father's signature on an old invoice. These people trust us. Depend on us. They trusted your father. You don't owe them anything. I owe him everything. He met her gaze. And I'm not abandoning his legacy. The argument escalated when Ellen moved in temporarily. Rebecca's objections grew louder with each passing day. She has her own house, Rebecca hissed one night. She's suffocating us. She's grieving. And I'm losing my design studio to her craft projects. Rebecca gestured at the spare room where Ellen spent hours making memorial quilts. I have clients coming over next week. Meet them at the office. Dominic says, I don't care what Dominic says. Jason's tone made her step back. My mother stays until she's ready to leave. Ellen moved out 6 months later into a cozy ranch house 3 streets over. It's time, she said, hugging Jason. But I'm not going far. Rebecca's victory was short-lived. The same week Ellen moved out, Dominic Pierce offered Rebecca a full-time position at his firm. The salary was impressive, but something in the way he looked at Rebecca during the celebration dinner made Jason's skin crawl. He's married, Maria warned over coffee, to his 3rd wife, and the first 2 worked for him. Rebecca wouldn't. Jason stopped himself. Sandra's revelation about Thomas Richardson surfaced again. Maria touched his arm. I see her, at that new gym on Madison Street. The one that costs more than my car payment. She's there when she says she's at client meetings, following my wife, Maria, looking out for my friend. She hesitated. And Dominic Pierce is there too. Same time, same days. Jason thanked her for the coffee and drove to the garage. The new invoice system Rebecca had insisted on showed their dwindling savings. The second mortgage they'd taken for her design school loomed large. That night, Rebecca came home late again. Creative meeting ran long, she said, dropping shopping bags in the hallway. The tag showed boutiques Jason had never heard of. Dominic must pay well. He values talent. Rebecca's smile turned sharp. Unlike some people, meaning, you're threatened by my success. She pulled off her heels. I see how you act around him. The snide comments about the firm. I don't trust him. No, you don't trust me. She laughed bitterly. The great Jason Walker, so noble, so dedicated. Did you ever think that some of us want more than oil changes and tire rotations? The words hung between them like poison. Jason thought of his father, of the pride he'd taken in honest work, of the families who brought their children to learn about cars, who trusted the Walker name. More? His voice was deadly quiet. I gave you more. I put you through school, supported your dreams. And this is how you repay it? Repay? Rebecca's face flushed. I stood by you through your mother's cancer, through your father's death. I've earned my shot at something better. She stormed upstairs, leaving Jason alone with the truth he'd been avoiding. The woman he'd married, the waitress with big dreams and a kind heart, had been a masterful illusion. And illusions, like all things built on lies, eventually shattered. Chapter 3. The Breaking Point. Maria Thompson sat at her usual table in Cornerstone Cafe, warming her hands around a cooling mug of coffee. 20 years of teaching had honed her instincts about human nature, and everything about Rebecca Walker's recent behavior set off warning bells. The door chimed. Rebecca swept in wearing workout gear that cost more than Maria's monthly utilities. Sorry I'm late. Pilates ran over. At the Madison Street gym, Maria kept her tone casual. The one by Pierce & Associates? Rebecca's pause was microscopic but telling. They have the best instructors. I'm sure they do. Maria stirred her coffee. Jason mentioned you've been working late a lot. The Morrison project is demanding. Rebecca's phone buzzed. She checked it, a slight smile playing at her lips. Dominic has high standards. I'm sure he does. Maria watched Rebecca's expression carefully, especially for his female employees. Rebecca's head snapped up. What's that supposed to mean? Just that his track record with marriages, his own and others, is public knowledge. You don't know him. Rebecca's voice held a defensive edge. He sees my potential. Pushes me to be better. Better than what? A mechanic's wife? Rebecca's laugh was cold. You don't understand. Jason's content with his little garage, fixing other people's dreams while ignoring his own. I need more. And Dominic offers more? This conversation is over. Rebecca stood, gathering her designer gym bag. I don't need judgment from a divorced elementary school teacher. Maria watched her leave, then pulled out her phone to text Jason. Before she could type a word, movement caught her eye through the cafe window. Rebecca stood on the sidewalk, embracing a silver-haired man in an expensive suit. Dominic Pierce's hands lingered possessively on Rebecca's waist as they walked to his Mercedes. The next week passed in a blur of whispered phone calls and late meetings. Jason threw himself into work, but Maria noticed the hardening in his eyes, the way his knuckles whitened on tool handles when Rebecca's name came up. The breaking point came without warning. Rebecca waited until Jason was handling a major classic car restoration, then dropped her bombshell over dinner. I need space. She didn't meet his eyes. Time to find myself. Jason set down his fork. Find yourself? I've booked a retreat in Hawaii. 3 months? She pushed a folder across the table. My lawyer drew up separation papers. Lawyer. Jason's voice was terrifyingly calm. When did you have time to find a lawyer? Jason, please. This isn't about you. I just need to find yourself. In Hawaii. He opened the folder. With separate finances and a restraining order. Rebecca's mask slipped. It's precautionary. Given your temper. My temper. Jason stood slowly. Show me once, when I've lost control. This reaction proves my point. She backed away. I've already blocked your number and social media. Please don't try to contact me. How long have you been planning this? It doesn't matter. She headed for the stairs. My bags are packed. A car is coming. Let me guess. Dominic's driver? Rebecca froze. You don't know anything. I know enough. Jason's voice could have frozen hell. About Thomas Richardson in college. About the scholarship you turned down to take my money instead. About your gym sessions with Dominic. You had me investigated? Her outrage would have been convincing if her hands hadn't shaken. This is exactly why I need to leave. You're paranoid, controlling. Save it for your lawyer. Jason turned away. I'm sure Dominic helped you craft the perfect victim narrative. A sleek black car pulled up outside. Rebecca hurried downstairs with her bags, but paused at the door. I did love you once, she offered. The boy who saw past the waitress uniform. But that boy's gone. No. Jason's smile held no warmth. That boy grew up, and the woman who claimed to love him never existed. After she left, Jason went through their photos, their messages, their shared life. He found the burner phone she'd forgotten in her haste, filled with messages to Dominic. Found the edited recordings of their arguments. Found their joint credit card statements showing couples spa packages in Denver while he worked weekends. Maria came over with whiskey and sympathy. What will you do? Jason's laugh held no humor. You know what happens to people who betray the Walker name, Maria? What? They learn why trust and loyalty aren't just words on a sign. He poured another drink. They learn the hard way. In Hawaii, Rebecca lounged by a resort pool, sipping cocktails with Dominic, both believing they'd orchestrated the perfect escape. They had no idea that their paradise was built on quicksand, or that Jason Walker was about to show them exactly what happened to those who mistook his integrity for weakness. The game they'd started would end by his rules. And in Jason Walker's rule book, betrayal carried a price that no amount of Hawaiian sunshine could warm. Chapter 4. The Investigation. O'Malley's bar reeked of stale beer and broken dreams. Jason sat at the counter, his third whiskey untouched, staring at his phone's lock screen. Still the same photo of him and Rebecca from happier days. That look tells a story I know too well. A man settled onto the neighboring stool. His military bearing contrasted with his casual attire. Ryan Foster, he introduced himself, signaling the bartender. And you're Jason Walker. My sister's Honda runs like new thanks to your shop. Jason nodded, not inviting conversation. Ryan persisted. My ex-wife had the same expression in her photos before I caught her with my best friend. Military intelligence teaches you to spot patterns? Ex-military, current PI. Ryan slid a business card across the bar, specializing in cases like yours. Jason's grip tightened on his glass. I don't need. Rebecca Monroe Walker, age 30. Currently at the Royal Hawaiian Resort with Dominic Pierce, room 512. They're burning through your joint account like there's no tomorrow. Ryan's voice remained neutral. Want to know what else they're doing with your money? Jason's head snapped up. How did you? I noticed things, like that lawsuit notification peeking out of your jacket. Let me guess. She's claiming emotional distress? Painting you as controlling? You've done your homework. I've lived it. Ryan pulled out his phone, showing surveillance photos. They follow a pattern. Men like Pierce find vulnerable marriages, target the wife, isolate the husband. I built a team that specializes in exposing them. I'm not interested in exposing anyone. Jason's voice turned dangerous. I'm interested in destruction. Ryan's smile held no warmth. Then you want to meet Karen Mitchell, ex-FBI cyber expert. Nobody better at digital forensics. And Derek Santos, best surveillance man I've ever worked with. Did undercover work in cartels before going private. Expensive team. Consider it an investment in justice. Ryan leaned closer. You're not the first man Pierce has targeted. But with our help, you could be the last. 2 days later, they gathered in Ryan's office. Karen Mitchell, with her sharp features and sharper mind, laid out their digital battlefield. Pierce thinks he's clever with technology. They all do. But data leaves traces. Derek Santos moved like a predator despite his business suit. I got eyes on them in Hawaii. They're sloppy, overconfident, making rookie mistakes. Show me, Jason demanded. Karen pulled up screenshots. Rebecca's been keeping a burner phone in her yoga studio locker. Took me 2 hours to crack it. Want to see their messages? Jason read through the conversations, his expression hardening with each swipe. Rebecca actually thinks I'm finding myself. Oh, Dominic, my naive little mechanic. Can't wait to see his face when he gets the papers. Rebecca, Hawaii was genius. He can't afford to follow even if he figured it out. Dominic, that's my girl. Playing the victim while we empty his accounts. There's more, Derek added, spreading surveillance photos across the desk. They've been planning this for months. Look at the timestamps. The photos showed Rebecca and Dominic at restaurants, hotels, the gym, all while Jason worked rebuilding his father's legacy. In each image, their intimacy grew bolder, their disdain more obvious. They're laughing at you, Ryan observed, using your dedication against you. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Jason studied the evidence before him. His voice came out like steel on granite. I want everything. Their messages, their meetings, their plans. I want to know who helped them, who knew. I want their whole world mapped out, so I can tear it down brick by brick. Karen's fingers flew across her keyboard. Banking records show large transfers to offshore accounts. They're hiding assets. Rebecca's building a paper trail, Derek added. making it look like you forced her into this. She's good at playing victim. Not good enough. Jason's face could have been carved from stone. Keep digging. I want to know everything about Pierce, his patterns, his previous victims, his weaknesses. This goes beyond a simple affair, Ryan warned. They're trying to destroy you professionally, personally, financially. They won't stop until I stop them. Jason stood. Money's not an issue. Whatever it costs, whatever it takes. I want them to learn what happens when you mistake honor for weakness. The team worked through the night, piecing together Rebecca and Dominic's betrayal. Each revelation hit harder than the last, but Jason absorbed them all, turning pain into purpose. One more thing, Karen called as they wrapped up. Found this in her cloud storage. Audio files, dozens of them. She's been recording your arguments, editing them to make you sound abusive. Jason listened to his own voice, twisted and manipulated to serve Rebecca's narrative. His expression never changed, but his knuckles went white on the armrest. The good news? Karen's grin held a predatory edge. Original files leave markers. I can prove they're doctored. Turn her own evidence against her. Perfect. Jason stood. Send everything to my lawyer. It's time Rebecca learned about consequences. As he left Ryan's office, his phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. A photo appeared. Rebecca and Dominic on a Hawaiian beach, champagne in hand, celebrating their victory. They look happy, untouchable. They had no idea what was coming. Chapter 5. The betrayal deepens. Karen Mitchell hadn't slept in 36 hours, but her fingers never slowed on her keyboard. Lines of code reflected in her glasses as she dug deeper into Rebecca's digital life. Got something, she called to Ryan. You need to see this. The team gathered around her monitors. Jason arrived last, fresh from the garage, but carrying the same intensity he'd shown since their first meeting. Rebecca's been busy, Karen explained, pulling up documents. Those recordings weren't her first attempt at character assassination. Look at these emails to her parents. The messages painted a devastating picture. Rebecca had spent months poisoning her in-laws against Jason, sharing edited conversations and carefully crafted lies. That explains their recent behavior, Jason muttered. They barely spoke at the last family dinner. It gets worse. Karen opened another window, found these buried in her design school records. She was offered a full scholarship for her final year. Look at the date. Jason's jaw clenched. 2 weeks before I took out the second mortgage on the garage. She turned it down. Karen's disgust was evident. Kept the offer hidden while you went into debt for her education. Meanwhile, she was stockpiling her own money in secret accounts. Derek burst in, waving his phone. You're going to want to hear this. Just got audio from the bug in Pierce's office. They're not just having an affair. They're running a scheme. He played the recording. Rebecca's voice came through clearly. The new designer? Sarah? Her marriage is struggling. Husband works too much, never home. Sound familiar? Dominic's laugh oozed charm. You're getting good at spotting them. Make friends. Gain her trust. Find out what she wants. What you gave me. Excitement, luxury, attention. They're all so predictable. That's my protege. 3 divorces this year already. The settlements alone. The recording continued, revealing their predatory pattern. Dominic would mentor young, married designers while Rebecca befriended them, gathering intelligence on their insecurities and desires. Then Dominic would move in, destroying marriages. 3 families, Ryan mused. 3 lives torn apart. And they treated it like a game. Not anymore. Jason's voice could have frozen fire. Karen, find these women. Derek, give me everything on their divorces. It's time to build our own network. Maria Thompson's connection to Rebecca's old design school proved invaluable. The registrar remembered Rebecca well, particularly her scholarship rejection. Strangest thing, the woman told Maria over coffee. She seemed almost happy to turn it down. Said her husband wanted to invest in their future. I thought it was odd, but she was setting him up, Maria finished, making him financially vulnerable while playing the supportive wife. The evidence mounted. Karen discovered encrypted emails between Rebecca and Dominic dating back months before her hiring. They planned everything, her job application, their chance meetings at the gym, even which luxury resorts to visit in Hawaii. Look at this message. Karen highlighted a particularly damning exchange. She asked him to book couple spa packages while Jason worked weekends. Used them as alibis for their meetings. Jason absorbed each revelation with dangerous calm. The team watched him carefully, waiting for an explosion that never came. Instead, his rage turned to ice-cold purpose. Their biggest mistake, he told Ryan during a late-night strategy session, was thinking I'd break, that I'd collapse like their other victims. Why didn't you? Because my father taught me that a man's worth isn't in his wallet or his status. Jason's smile held no warmth. It's in how he handles betrayal. The investigation expanded. Derek tracked down Dominic's previous victims, not just at his current firm, but throughout his career. The pattern stretched back years, leaving a trail of destroyed marriages and broken lives. Some of them are willing to talk, Derek reported. They've been waiting for someone to expose him, but they're scared. His influence in the design community is about to become his weakness, Jason finished. Get their statements. Karen, secure their evidence. It's time to show them they're not alone. The final piece clicked when Karen hacked Rebecca's cloud storage. Hidden in an encrypted folder, she found a document that made even her jaded eyes widen. Jason, she called, you need to see this. It's a letter to her lawyer, dated 3 months before Hawaii. She was planning the scholarship fraud angle from the start. The letter detailed Rebecca's strategy, how she'd used Jason's second mortgage as evidence of financial control, painting herself as a victim forced to reject opportunities. She'd even included a timeline for maximum impact in the divorce proceedings. She really thought this through, Ryan observed, using your love and trust as weapons against you. No, Jason corrected, reading the document with lethal focus. She thought through her attack. She never considered my counterattack. The team exchanged glances. They'd seen revenge before, helped orchestrate it even. But something about Jason's calculated patience, his absolute refusal to break, suggested this would be different. Dominic's not worried, Derek reported from his surveillance. He thinks you're just another mechanic he can crush in court. Let him think that. Jason stood, gathering the evidence they'd collected. It's time to show Rebecca and Dominic why the Walker name means something in this town. As he left, Karen called after him. What's the next move? Jason paused in the doorway. They wanted to play games with people's lives? Fine. Let's show them how it feels to be the pieces instead of the players. The team watched him go, recognizing the look of a man who'd moved beyond anger to something far more dangerous, justified retribution. In Hawaii, Rebecca and Dominic continued their celebration, believing they'd orchestrated the perfect escape. They had no idea that their paradise was built on quicksand, or that Jason Walker was about to show them exactly what happened to those who mistook his integrity for weakness. The game they'd started would end by his rules. And in Jason Walker's rule book, betrayal carried a price that no amount of Hawaiian sunshine could warm. Chapter 6, The Transformation. Amanda Knox's law office projected power and competence. The divorce attorney studied Jason across her mahogany desk, reading the dossier Ryan's team had compiled. This is thorough, she admitted. Most men come to me with suspicions. You brought me a case. I want more than a divorce. Jason's voice held no emotion. I want justice. Justice is expensive. Her smile suggested she approved. Especially the kind you're looking for. Money's not an issue. Jason placed a cashier's check on her desk. Ryan Foster said you understand what it's like. That you specialize in cases like mine. Amanda's hand went to her bare ring finger. My ex-husband thought he was clever too. Hidden accounts, manipulated evidence, character assassination. Sound familiar? Very. That's why I switched from corporate law to this. She gestured at her office. To help people like us get even, I need resources. Contacts. You'll have them. She pulled out a business card. Starting with Thomas Reed, best forensic accountant in Colorado. He'll find where they've hidden the money. Thomas Reed's office contrasted sharply with Amanda's. No mahogany, just steel filing cabinets and multiple monitors displaying financial data. The man himself looked more accountant than investigator, until you noticed his predatory focus. Pierce thinks he's clever with money, Thomas observed, scanning Rebecca's financial records. They all do. But numbers don't lie. Show me. Thomas pulled up transaction histories. See these transfers? Small amounts, different accounts. Building a pattern of personal spending they can defend in court. But look closer. The pattern emerged. Rebecca had been systematically moving money since before Hawaii, creating a paper trail that supported her victim narrative while hiding her true assets. She's good, Thomas admitted. But I'm better. Give me 2 weeks. I'll have everything documented. Jason's next stop was less conventional. Trevor Hayes' MMA gym sat in a converted warehouse, the air heavy with sweat and determination. The trainer's military background showed in his bearing and his methods. You're not here to learn self-defense, Trevor observed, watching Jason hit the heavy bag. You're here to learn control? I need to be stronger. No, Trevor stopped the bag. You need to be smarter. Strength without strategy is just violence. I'll teach you both. The training was brutal. Trevor pushed Jason past physical limits into mental ones, teaching him to channel rage into focus. Between sessions, they discussed strategy. Your enemies think they know you, Trevor explained during a sparring match. That makes them vulnerable. Let them believe you're broken. A wounded animal, while I become the hunter. Exactly. Trevor's grin held approval. They won't see you coming until it's too late. The transformation continued. Jason's body hardened, his mind sharpened. The garage became his cover, appearing to struggle while he secretly prepared his counterattack. Michaelchin noticed the change during a routine maintenance check on his classic car collection. The wealthy collector had survived his own high-profile divorce scandal. You're different, Michael observed watching Jason work. Focused, like a man with a plan. I learned from the best. Jason wiped his hands. Your ex-wife never saw it coming. Michael's laugh held dark amusement. She thought money was power. Learned too late that patience is stronger. He studied Jason. You're playing the long game. Smart. I need to be sure. When I move, it has to be final. Michael nodded. That's why you'll win. Men like Pierce, women like Rebecca, they think victory comes quick. They never see the trap until it snaps shut. The conversation shifted to strategy. Michael's business connections ran deep, including significant investment in Pierce and Associates' parent company. Interesting, Jason mused. Very interesting. Use it, Michael advised. Let them think they've won. The fall hurts more from the top. Weeks passed. Jason maintained his routine, garage work, training with Trevor, building evidence with Ryan's team. Rebecca and Dominic grew bolder in Hawaii, their social media flaunting their supposed victory. Then came the text that changed everything. A photo of them on their hotel balcony, champagne in hand, captioned, "Living our best life while someone fixes mufflers." Jason showed it to Ryan's team during their nightly meeting. Karen's fingers flew across her keyboard, tracing the photo's metadata. Derek added it to their surveillance file. They're getting cocky, Ryan observed. Making mistakes. Good. Jason's smile would have frozen hell. Everything's ready? Thomas found their hidden accounts. Amanda's prepared the legal strategy. Karen has all their communications documented and authenticated. And the other victims? Ready to testify. Turns out lots of people want to see Pierce fall. Jason nodded, studying the evidence they'd gathered. Months of planning, training, and patience had transformed him into someone Rebecca and Dominic wouldn't recognize. One final piece, Karen announced, pulling up a new file. Remember those recordings Rebecca doctored? Found the originals in a hidden cloud drive. Listen, the team heard Rebecca's true nature revealed. Her calculated manipulation, her cold planning with Dominic, her mockery of Jason's devotion to family and honor. She thought deleting them would hide her tracks, Karen explained with professional pride. Amateur move? What about Pierce's pattern? Jason turned to Derek. The surveillance expert spread new photos across the table. 3 confirmed cases of him targeting married designers. Sarah Mitchell, Lauren Cooper, and Teresa Ramirez. All followed the same pattern. Rebecca made friends, gathered intel, then Dominic moved in for the kill. And now, Sarah's rebuilding her life in Seattle. Lauren lost her house in the divorce. Teresa. Derek's face darkened. She tried to warn others about Pierce. He bankrupted her with legal threats. Jason absorbed this information, each detail feeding his resolve. Contact them. carefully through Amanda's office for legal protection. Already done, Ryan confirmed. They're willing to help, but they're scared. Pierce's influence in the design community is extensive. Was extensive, Jason corrected. His voice carried absolute certainty. Time to show them they're not alone anymore. The team watched him, seeing not the devastated husband who'd first walked into O'Malley's bar, but a man transformed by betrayal into something far more dangerous. Patient, calculated, unstoppable. Trevor's taught you well, Ryan observed. You're different now. I had to be. Jason stood, gathering the files. Rebecca and Dominic thought they were writing this story. They forgot something crucial. What's that? The best mechanics don't just fix what's broken. His smile was a weapon. They rebuild it stronger than before. In his office, Thomas Reed finalized the forensic accounting reports. The numbers told a story of calculated deception. Rebecca and Dominic had been moving assets for months, building their escape fund while pushing Jason toward financial ruin. Classic pattern, Thomas explained during their final review. They thought spreading the transactions would hide them. Instead, it gave us proof of premeditation. Amanda Knox added the financial evidence to her growing legal arsenal. This isn't just divorce anymore, she noted. We're looking at potential fraud charges. And with the other victims coming forward, no deals, Jason insisted. No mercy. Wouldn't dream of it. Amanda's smile matched his intensity. They wanted to play games with people's lives? Let's show them how it feels to lose everything. The transformation was complete. Jason Walker, devoted husband, trusted mechanic, honorable son, had been broken down and rebuilt into something new. Something Rebecca and Dominic's calculations hadn't accounted for. In Hawaii, they continued their celebration, believing their perfect plan had succeeded. They had no idea that back in Denver, a team of specialists had spent months documenting their every move, tracing their every lie, and preparing evidence that would turn their paradise into prison. They thought they were writing a story of escape and victory. Instead, they crafted the perfect blueprint for their own destruction. Jason looked at their latest taunting photo one last time before turning to his team. We're ready? The next move would be theirs, but the endgame belonged to him. Because while Rebecca and Dominic had spent months plotting an escape, Jason Walker had engineered something far more permanent. Their complete and total annihilation. Chapter 7. The Return. The Mercedes convertible purred into Walker's auto service parking lot like a predator, its metallic finish gleaming under the morning sun. Rebecca sat in the passenger seat, designer sunglasses masking her expression, while Dominic Pierce guided the vehicle to a stop in front of the main office. Ready, darling? Dominic's hand squeezed hers, his confidence radiating from the Italian leather seats. Remember, he's just a mechanic. This will be over quickly. Inside the garage, Jason watched their arrival through the security cameras Karen had installed. His team gathered around him, each playing their assigned role. They brought the papers? Ryan asked, adjusting his coveralls. To anyone watching, he looked like just another mechanic. Right on schedule, Jason's voice carried no emotion. Karen? Cameras rolling. Derek's team is in position. She tapped her tablet. Everything they say and do will be documented. Rebecca and Dominic strode into the garage like conquering royalty. They found Jason at his father's old desk, examining invoices as if this was any other morning. Jason. Rebecca's voice dripped false sympathy. You look, well. He raised his eyes slowly, taking in her expensive outfit, the way she leaned into Dominic's possessive grip. Rebecca. Mr. Pierce. What brings you to my humble shop? Dominic placed a thick envelope on the desk. Just making things official. My lawyer assured me these papers are quite straightforward. Jason opened the envelope with steady hands, scanning the demands that his team had already warned him about. Half the garage's value. The house. Substantial alimony. His life carved up and served on legal letterhead. Quite an ambitious list. He kept his voice neutral. You seem confident. Be reasonable, Jason. Rebecca stepped forward, practiced concern on her face. I gave you my best years. Sacrificed my dreams to support your business. She glanced around the garage with carefully crafted disdain. Supporting? Jason's laugh made them both step back. Like when you rejected that scholarship. Made me take a second mortgage instead. Rebecca's mask slipped for a moment. How did you? Or perhaps you mean supporting me by helping Dominic destroy other marriages? Jason stood slowly. Sarah Mitchell sends her regards. So do Lauren Cooper and Teresa Ramirez. Dominic's charm vanished. You've been investigating us? No. Jason's smile was a blade. I've been hunting you. He pressed a button on his desk. The garage doors rolled down, trapping them inside. Screens lit up around the walls, displaying surveillance photos, text messages, bank statements. What is this? Rebecca's voice shook. This? Jason gestured at the evidence surrounding them. This is what happens when you mistake honor for weakness. Ryan emerged from the shadows, badge in hand. Dominic Pierce, Rebecca Walker. My name is Ryan Foster. I need you to look at some very interesting financial records. The color drained from Dominic's face. You can't prove anything. Actually, Karen stepped into view, laptop open. We can prove everything. The next hour destroyed their carefully constructed world. Karen walked them through the evidence, the hidden accounts, the manipulated recordings, the pattern of targeting vulnerable marriages. Each revelation hit like a physical blow. You really thought I'd just break? Jason's voice cut through their protests. That I'd roll over and let you steal my father's legacy? Jason, please. Rebecca tried one last time. We could talk about this. Like you talked to my mother? Turned my friends against me? Created those doctor recordings? His calm was terrifying. No, Rebecca. The time for talking is over. Now it's time for consequences. Dominic straightened his expensive jacket. You're forgetting who you're dealing with. One phone call. To whom? Jason picked up his phone. Your firm's board? They're receiving evidence of your predatory pattern as we speak. The Bar Association? They're particularly interested in your legal threats against Teresa Ramirez. Rebecca grabbed Dominic's arm. He's bluffing. Test me. Jason turned a screen toward them. Those offshore accounts you thought were hidden? My forensic accountant found them. The edited recordings? My cyber expert recovered the originals. Your little game of destroying marriages for profit? Your victims are testifying as we speak. The garage felt smaller with each revelation. Rebecca and Dominic's smug confidence crumbled as Jason laid out their fate. You have two choices, he concluded. Sign my counteroffer, admitting everything, or face criminal charges for fraud. Either way, your reputation burns. You destroy everything? Rebecca whispered. Over a failed marriage? No. Jason's voice was steel. Over betrayal. Over lies. Over thinking you could break a walker and walk away clean. Dominic reached for the papers, his hands shaking. This will ruin us. That's the point. Jason watched them sign, their defeat absolute. You play with people's lives like they were toys. Consider this karma. As they left the garage, broken and humiliated, Jason turned to his team. Phase 1 complete. Release the evidence. Karen's fingers flew across her keyboard, sending their darkest secrets into the light. The reckoning had begun, and Jason Walker intended to show them exactly how far a man of honor would go when pushed into war. Chapter 8. The Revenge. The evidence spread through Denver's social circles like wildfire. Karen's data dump was precise, targeting maximum impact. Rebecca's carefully crafted image shattered as her private messages, manipulated recordings, and affairs became public knowledge. Her parents just got the proof package, Derek reported, monitoring the fallout, including those messages where she mocked their religious beliefs. Her mother's called 6 times, Karen added, checking her surveillance. She's not answering. The professional destruction was equally thorough. Jason's anonymous tips to Colorado's design firms exposed Dominic's predatory pattern. Former victims, protected by Amanda Knox's legal team, stepped forward with their stories. Sarah Mitchell's testimony hit particularly hard. He and Rebecca, they worked as a team, she told the State Bar Association. She befriended me, learned my insecurities, fed everything back to him. They treated it like a game. Lauren Cooper revealed how they'd manipulated her divorce proceedings. Rebecca coached me on what to tell my lawyer. Made me think Jim was the enemy. I lost everything because I trusted them. Teresa Ramirez finally got justice. Pierce threatened to destroy my career when I tried to warn others. Used his legal connections to silence me. But he can't hide anymore. The evidence mounted. Thomas Reed's forensic analysis proved Rebecca had committed premeditated fraud. The scholarship rejection, hidden assets, manipulated records, all documented in devastating detail. The judge was particularly interested in this, Amanda Knox announced, holding up a file. Proof she planned to use your debt-funded education to advance her affair. That's criminal intent. But Jason's masterstroke came through Michael Chun. The wealthy car collector called an emergency board meeting at Pierce and Associates parent company. Gentlemen, Michael addressed the board, Jason's evidence displayed behind him. We have a serious ethical breach to address. The vote was unanimous. Dominic's firing made headlines in the design community. Rebecca's termination followed minutes later. Their industry contacts vanished overnight. They're panicking, Derek reported, monitoring their communications. Pierce tried calling his lawyer. Seems the firm dropped him after seeing the evidence. Rebecca's attempts to access the offshore accounts failed, Karen added with satisfaction. Amazing how fast banks freeze funds when fraud is mentioned. The personal destruction cut deeper. Jason released the original recordings to Rebecca's church community, proving her manipulation. Her social circle imploded as friends discovered her betrayals. Her own parents have cut contact, Maria reported during their strategy meeting. Her father said she's no longer welcome at family functions. Dominic's response was predictable. He ran. Left Rebecca to face the consequences alone while he tried to salvage his reputation. His hasty departure only confirmed his guilt in everyone's eyes. Some predator, Ryan sneered, watching Dominic's Mercedes speed out of town. Brave until actually confronted. Rebecca's attempts at damage control backfired spectacularly. Each lie she told was met with documented proof of her deception. Each plea for sympathy was countered by evidence of her cruelty. The court proceedings were a formality. Amanda Knox presented their case with ruthless efficiency, backed by Thomas Reed's financial evidence and Karen's technical proof. Your Honor, Amanda addressed the judge, we have clear evidence of premeditated fraud. Ms. Walker rejected a full scholarship specifically to create financial leverage against my client. She then used that leverage to fund her affair while systematically destroying his reputation. The judge's verdict was devastating. Rebecca was ordered to repay Jason's investment in her education with interest. The house and garage remained his. Her claims of emotional distress were dismissed with prejudice. You've made your point, she begged Jason outside the courthouse. Please, I have nothing left. Like Teresa had nothing when you helped Dominic threaten her? Jason's voice was ice. Like Lauren had nothing when you manipulated her divorce? This isn't punishment, Rebecca. It's justice. The final blow came when Jason exposed their attempted manipulation of Ellen. The restored recordings proved Rebecca's malicious intent, destroying the last shred of sympathy anyone might have felt. I gave you everything, Jason told her as she left the courthouse, defeated. My trust, my name, my father's legacy. You thought that made me weak. Now you know, it made me unstoppable. Chapter 9, The Aftermath. 1 year later, Walker's auto service had transformed. Michael Chin's investment expanded the business, adding a high-end restoration division that attracted collectors from across the country. Jason, Karen's voice pulled him from paperwork. She'd stayed after the case, their shared experience with betrayal building something neither expected. The final report came in. He read the update with satisfaction. Rebecca was back in Ohio, working at a local diner. The career she'd once mocked had become her only option after being blacklisted from design work. How the mighty fall, Ryan commented, reviewing the surveillance. Remember how smug she was in that Mercedes? Speaking of falls, Karen added, pulling up another report. Dominic's real estate career in Nevada isn't going well. Seems his past followed him. 3 clients canceled this week alone. The garage's new sign gleamed in the morning light. Walker & Sons Automotive, built on trust, driven by integrity. Ellen helped manage the books now, her presence a daily reminder of the family values that had survived Rebecca's betrayal. Maria hosted weekly dinners where Jason, Karen, and their growing circle gathered. The photo album on their mantle held a single picture from the past, Rebecca and Dominic in Hawaii, serving as a reminder that karma comes for everyone. You never asked why I kept that photo, Karen mentioned one evening. Didn't need to. Jason pulled her close. Some reminders are worth keeping. The story became legendary in Denver's social circles, not just as a cautionary tale about infidelity, but as proof that quiet strength and unwavering integrity ultimately triumph over deceit. In the end, Rebecca and Dominic's attempt to destroy Jason Walker had achieved the opposite. The garage thrived. His reputation soared. The Walker name became synonymous with unshakable honor. Your father would be proud, Ellen told him, reviewing the month's records. You protected his legacy, made it stronger. Jason touched the worn key that still opened the garage each morning. He taught me what matters, Mom. Trust. Family. Standing your ground when the world pushes back. The lesson stayed with him. Each car he restored, each client he advised, carried forward his father's principles. The betrayal that should have broken him had instead revealed his true strength. In the quiet moments before opening each day, Jason remembered Rebecca's final words in court. I never meant for this to happen. His response had been simple. No, you meant to break me. Instead, you learned why the Walker name means something in this town. The garage bell rang, signaling a new customer. Jason stepped out to greet them, Karen at his side, his father's principles guiding each step. The past was behind them, its lessons carved into memory. The future stretched ahead, built on a foundation stronger than betrayal, more lasting than revenge. In Denver's automotive circles, people still whispered about the mechanic who turned the tables on those who betrayed him. But Jason Walker didn't care about the whispers. He cared about the legacy he protected, the family he honored, the principles he upheld. And in the end, that made all the difference. Epilogue, 5 years later. The Walker Automotive Group headquarters stood as a testament to transformation. What began as Jason's father's modest garage had evolved into Colorado's premier automotive restoration and service network, with 6 locations across Denver's metropolitan area. The main facility, spanning 3 acres in Cherry Creek, specialized in classic car restorations that drew collectors from across the country. Jason Walker, now 37, surveyed his empire from his office above the main restoration bay. The wall behind his desk displayed the original sign from his father's garage, Walker's Auto Service, built on trust. Beside it hung numerous awards and recognition from the automotive industry, including Restoration Shop of the Year 3 years running. Mr. Chen's Aston Martin is ready for inspection, Karen called from the doorway. Now his wife of 3 years, she'd transformed the company's cybersecurity division into an industry benchmark. Her experience as an FBI cyber expert had proven invaluable as the business expanded. How's the tracking system working? Jason asked, following her to the restoration floor. After Rebecca's betrayal, he'd implemented rigorous security and documentation protocols. Each restoration now had a digital footprint that clients could monitor in real time. Perfect. Karen pulled up the project details on her tablet. Michael's been watching the restoration from his office in Hong Kong. Says it's better than Netflix. Michael Chun had become more than a client. His initial investment after Rebecca's downfall had grown into a full partnership, opening doors to high-end collectors worldwide. The trust born from that difficult time had built an unshakable business alliance. Speaking of entertainment, Karen added, Maria called. She's hosting a special dinner tomorrow. 5 years since. Jason nodded, understanding the significance. Maria Thompson still lived next door to their old house, now converted into Walker Automotive's training center. Her weekly dinners had grown into a tradition, bringing together the people who'd helped him through his darkest times. Ryan Foster had expanded his investigation firm, specializing in corporate fraud and infidelity cases. His team's reputation for thoroughness made them the go-to choice for high-profile cases. He'd recently married Sarah Mitchell, one of Dominic's former victims who'd rebuilt her life and now ran a successful interior design firm of her own. Derek Santos led Walker Automotive Security Division, his cartel infiltration experience proving invaluable as the business grew. He'd trained a team of specialists who protected not just the facilities, but also provided security consulting for their wealthy clients. Did you see Thomas Reed's report? Karen asked, pulling up another file. The forensic accountant had become their financial advisor, his meticulous nature perfect for managing their expanding enterprise. Last quarter's growth exceeded projections by 30%. Amanda Knox still handled their legal affairs, though her practice had evolved. After helping Jason expose Rebecca and Dominic's schemes, she'd built a reputation for handling complex fraud cases. Her firm now occupied an entire floor in downtown Denver, specializing in protecting businesses from predatory practices. Trevor Hayes had transformed the garage's old storage space into an elite training facility. The MMA gym served both as a private club for their wealthy clients and a training ground for their security team. The discipline he'd taught Jason during those dark months had become part of the company's core philosophy. "Mom called," Jason mentioned as they inspected the Aston Martin's pristine finish. Ellen Walker had flourished in her role as the company's community relations director. Her genuine warmth and integrity helped maintain the personal touch that had made his father's garage special, even as they expanded. The scholarship program? Karen knew Ellen had been particularly passionate about establishing the James Walker Memorial Scholarship, helping promising mechanics and engineers pursue their education without falling into debt. 10 new recipients this year. Jason's pride was evident. Dad would have loved seeing his name help others achieve their dreams. The scholarship held special meaning, given Rebecca's betrayal over her own education. They'd turned that painful memory into something positive, helping students who demonstrated not just talent but integrity. "Have you seen the latest about them?" Karen asked carefully. They rarely discussed Rebecca and Dominic, but maintained awareness of their whereabouts as a matter of security. Rebecca's life had continued its downward spiral. After losing everything in Denver, she'd returned to Ohio, working as a waitress at a truck stop diner. Her attempts to rebuild her design career had failed spectacularly when background checks revealed her fraudulent past. Last they'd heard, she tried starting a small home decoration business, but her reputation followed her online, destroying any chance of success. Dominic Pierce had fared no better. His attempt at real estate in Nevada had collapsed when former clients from his design firm days found him and spread warnings through the industry. He'd moved through several failed ventures, each time thinking he could reinvent himself, each time discovering that the network of people he'd wronged ran deeper than he'd imagined. "Teresa Ramirez sends her regards," Karen mentioned. The woman Dominic had once threatened into silence now ran a successful design firm in Seattle, specializing in helping women rebuild their lives after divorce. She'd become a fierce advocate for corporate accountability, her own story serving as inspiration for others. Lauren Cooper called too, Jason added. Another of Dominic's victims. Lauren had rebuilt her life with help from the support network they'd built. She now worked with Amanda Knox, helping identify patterns of manipulation in other fraud cases. The sun set over Denver's skyline as they finished inspecting the Aston Martin. The main restoration bay hummed with activity as the evening shift took over. Jason had instituted a mentorship program, pairing experienced mechanics with promising apprentices, ensuring his father's knowledge and values continued through another generation. "Ready for dinner?" Karen asked. They maintained a modest home despite their success, valuing privacy over ostentation. The lessons of the past had taught them the true worth of integrity over appearances. Later that evening, as they sat in their kitchen, Jason reflected on the transformation of the past 5 years. The betrayal that should have destroyed him had instead forced him to rebuild something stronger. The Walker name, which Rebecca and Dominic had tried to tarnish, now stood as a symbol of uncompromising integrity in Denver's business community. Maria's dinner the next night brought together their extended family of choice. Ryan and Sarah Foster, Derek Santos and his wife, Thomas Reed, Amanda Knox, Trevor Hayes. Each person represented a thread in the tapestry of support that had helped turn tragedy into triumph. "I found something interesting," Maria announced during dessert. She'd retired from teaching, but remained a cornerstone of their community. An old article about Pierce and Associates from before everything happened. The article showed Dominic and Rebecca at a charity gala, portraying themselves as Denver's rising design power couple. The contrast between their smug faces then and their current reality sparked a moment of quiet reflection. They really thought they were untouchable, Ryan mused. His investigation firm had recently exposed another corporate fraud ring, using methods refined during Jason's case. Money and status aren't armor, Michael Chen added, joining them via video call from Hong Kong. Integrity is? His own experience with betrayal had taught him the same lessons, leading to their powerful partnership. The conversation turned to their latest projects. Sarah's design firm had just won a major contract, proving success could be achieved without compromising ethics. Amanda discussed a landmark fraud case she was prosecuting, while Thomas shared insights about protecting businesses from internal threats. As the evening wound down, Ellen raised her glass. To James Walker, she said softly, who taught us that true strength lies in how we face betrayal. And to the family we chose, Karen added, squeezing Jason's hand, who proved that integrity isn't just a word on a sign. The next morning, Jason arrived early at the garage, just as his father had done for 30 years. The original key still opened the main door, a tangible link to the legacy he protected. As he walked through the restoration bay, apprentices and master mechanics greeted him with genuine respect, knowing the Walker name represented more than just business success. A new client arrived, driving a neglected classic Ferrari. "I heard you're the best," the man said, handing over his keys, "that you can restore anything to its true potential." Jason thought of his own restoration, not just of cars or businesses, but of faith in integrity and justice. With the right foundation, he replied, anything can be rebuilt stronger than before. The Ferrari would join dozens of other projects in various stages of restoration. Each car told a story of neglect transformed into renewal, of broken things made whole again, just like the Walker legacy itself. In his office, Jason updated the digital project board Karen had designed. Their security systems, born from betrayal, had become an industry standard. Their documentation protocols, created to protect against fraud, now help clients worldwide trust their vehicles to Walker Automotive's care. The photo album Karen had made still sat on their mantle at home, containing that single picture from Hawaii, not as a reminder of pain, but as proof that integrity, patience, and unwavering principle would always triumph over deceit. The Walker Automotive Group continued to grow, but never at the expense of its core values. Each new location operated on the same principles James Walker had instilled in his son: trust, integrity, and the understanding that true strength reveals itself in how you handle betrayal. In Denver's business circles, the story remained legendary, not just as a cautionary tale about infidelity and fraud, but as proof that honor and principle, backed by unwavering determination, could transform tragedy into triumph. The garage's original sign, now mounted in the corporate headquarters lobby, still carried the same simple truth, built on trust driven by integrity. It wasn't just a slogan. It was the foundation that had turned one man's stand against betrayal into a legacy of strength, honor, and unshakable principle. As Jason reviewed plans for their 7th location, he remembered his father's words about character revealing itself in times of trial. The betrayal that should have broken him had instead revealed his true strength, forging a future built on the very principles his enemies had thought would make him vulnerable. In the end, Rebecca and Dominic's greatest miscalculation wasn't underestimating Jason's resources or resolve. It was believing that honor and integrity were weaknesses to be exploited, rather than foundations that could withstand any storm. The Walker name endured stronger than ever, a testament to the truth that while betrayal can break you, rising above it defines who you really are. And there you have it. Another story comes to an end. What did you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this story, consider joining our community by subscribing. It means the world to us. For more stories like this one, check out the recommended videos on screen. And I'll see you there.